What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live 9 o'clock in the morning on the 31st day of August in the year of our Lord 2023. It is about 71 degrees and hazy here at Site B. I'm finishing up a cup of coffee. And it turns out our good friend, Dr. Greg Gillespie, is making his own D20 role-playing game. And it's called Dragonslayer, and it's on Kickstarter. Yes, I know that name sounds familiar. And Dragonslayer, I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. Yeah, it's a movie. There's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other games, it looks like, all trying to use a variation on the name Dragonslayer. So I guess Dragonslayer is a public domain name that you can use and not get in trouble for it. So good luck, Greg. So why should you invest in Greg Gillespie's D20 Retro Clone when there's currently like 700 other D20 Retro Clones? Who's Dr. Greg Gillespie? Everybody remember 2 years ago when I found a Dr. Greg Gillespie that taught at the local college? And I was like, dude! And I contacted him, and it's not the same guy. So Dr. Greg Gillespie is the brains behind classic mega dungeons like Barrowmaze. Now, I played through a 2-year-long Barrowmaze campaign. It was the most boring slog of a game I've ever been through. I've read Barrowmaze. It is just so, yeah, it's just such a slog. I mean, maybe Mega Dungeons just don't work anymore. I don't know, man. I was so excited when I read about it originally. And then I actually read it and played through it. I was like, oh, this is boring. Just boring. Maybe it was the DM too. I don't know. So he has announced he's making a game, and he wants us to know why you should buy his rule set when there's already so many other rule sets that do the exact same thing. Well, Greg says first he refuses to continue publishing Mega Dungeons and Adventures while being beholden to other people's or rule sets. So he's saying, I don't want to make Barrowmaze for 5e or Castles of Crusades or any of the other games I go making forward. I want to make under my system. Second, I've always wanted to codify my home game. Those of you who have played in my Mega Dungeon know that I never wrote for the basic rules strictly defined. It was just a closet rule set for my homepage. I was always pushing towards an intersection between BX and 1E. This gave me the opportunity not only to free myself from other rule sets, but also publish a game that was inspired by the Mega Dungeon that I create. Third, he doesn't like digest-sized books, small print, unreasonable gaps in layout, and art that is internally inconsistent. I agree with you. I mean, I love the digest-sized books. I just hate the way they do the art in the digest-sized books because, oh my God, black on black on black on black. This is, yeah. Why was it so expensive for the POD? Because of the black on black on black on black ink that they put in these digest-sized books. So he wants inspiring, consistent work. How is Dragonslayer different from the other rule set? Dragonslayer mimics BX in gameplay. Moldvay Basics is a finely tuned machine. It's the best, most internally consistent edition of D&D ever created. However, Gary Gygax's Siren Song of first edition still echoes in our heads, and the races, classes, magic items, monsters, and spells drip with textures and flavors for fantasy campaigns. Having said that, Dragonslayer uses the engine of BX with the chrome of first edition. What does that mean? I don't know, Greg. What does it mean? It means the combat engine, casting, and initiative reflects the former, i.e. BX, and the cool stuff reflects the layer, i.e. first edition. So not a D&D, first edition D&D. For example, he thought dragons were too weak, demons and devils were internally inconsistent, druids were hosed, the monk was was Asian based, and thrown weapon bonuses was never really addressed to satisfaction. There were lots of lame rules that needed to go, like weapon speed factors and counting segment. Just because a rule existed to keep Arnson from getting royalties doesn't make it good. Ouch! There's a little pot shot over the bow. At the end of the day, Dragonslayer presents like a honed version of 1E, but with a firm commitment to levitate the elegance of Moldvay Basis. Think of Dragonslayer as halfway between 2 or 0.75. Halfway between the two. So somewhere between BX, 1E, and Moldvay Basic. before it became AD&D or 3rd edition. He's very big about the art and the aesthetics. You can use this rule set to play any TSR era edition of the D&D. This is a codification of his home game, which inspired all the mega dungeons he's made, and no adjustments or modifications are necessary. The rule book is near complete at 280 pages, and he's hoping to get it out by the time of the 50th anniversary. Crapphone says some dragon will sue over the name. I'm sure it will. I guess it's a public domain name since there's 5 other games I'll try to use the name, plus of at least one video game that I know of, and of course the movie. So yeah, I guess you can use the name. It's a public domain name. Well, who is Dragonslayer for? I guess it's for the people who need to have every single solitary OSR OGL D20 Retro Clone. Because there's already 700, I guess I need my 701st OGL D20 OSR Retro Clone of BX because there's not enough. Right. Who is this for? It's for everyone. The rules were written for both the inexperienced player and also the savvy OSR veteran. The basics are very simple, and the death comes from spells, monsters, and magic items. You can add to your campaign as you go. The book is a fully contained rule set. The game includes a compatible license for those who wish to create module adventures and supplements in the future. Dragonslayer, like my Mega Dungeon, is a love letter to the OSR and the people who first made the hobby. The book will help spur the OSR forward as we enter the 224th 50th anniversary of the RPG. So it's an entire game. Character creation, monsters, magic items, the whole thing. It has currently reached 20,071. So it's already passed its initial goal of 14,768. It's got 313 backers, and it's got 29 days to go. So, do we need another D20 Retro Clone OSR OGL BX Moldvay Basic to compete with these 700 others, including the current #1, which is Shadow Dark and Castles and Crusades and Swords and Wizardries and all the other? There's 700! Is it too late? Is it too soon? Should he have waited? Some people are saying he should have waited another 6 months because of what Wizards of the Coast is doing, and because I guess he's got another Mega Dungeon coming out. Maybe he should have released it with like re-release, it with Barrowmaze is like one of the higher level things. Dr. Gillespie, well, I love the idea of Barrowmaze, and I was really excited to go through Barrowmaze, and I thought on paper it sounded really cool. I played through it for 2 years, but then again, maybe it was the DM in the group, but it was a boring slog. I mean, yeah. And I read through it, and I was like, why would my player, why would I keep going back? This is boring. It's not interesting. But of course, my read-through was biased because I'd been through the campaign for already a year, and I was like, this is so boring. So unfortunately, I'm prejudiced. Not because of my experience with Barrowmaze, because I think it's still a great idea, and it could work maybe if it was just, shaved down a little, and with the right DM who really understood the story of Barrowmaze, because it's a cool idea for a Mega Dungeon. If there is even still a market for Mega Dungeons, which I'm not sure there are, considering the short attention span we all have these days. But I'm prejudiced because there's already 700 D20 OGL OSR Retro Clones, Dr. Gillespie. So what are you going to offer to me that I can't already get from the salad bar? I've got 700 possible toppings I can use, but at the end of the day, I'm still putting them on top of lettuce and carrots, right? At the end of the day, it's still another TSR D&D Retro Clone in a market that has 700 TSR D&D Retro Clones, including Castles and Crusades, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and Shadow Dark. What are you offering me that I don't already have? What is it that you're going to give me that's going to excite me to go, I want to back this game, even though I already own 4 Retro Clones? Most of which I'll probably never use. You tell me, are you excited about this? Are you looking forward to Dr. Greg Gillespie's Dragonslayer? Hopefully nobody sues him over that name. Or are you all more like in my end of the thing where you're just like, it's too late. I don't think there's a market. Do we really need another one? Are you, I mean, is this going to be the next Shadow Dark? Is it just going to be like get a lot of initial cool press and a lot of people wanting to create for it, but then just peter out? So I guess all his future mega dungeons are now going to be under his system. I guess he'll redo Barrowmaze and Dwarrowdeep and the other ones he's made under the new system. I don't know. My gut tells me it's too late or too early or too late. Just, there's too many. I mean, but then I didn't expect Shadow Dark to be big as it was. But of course, a lot of the reasons why Shadow Dark was as big as it was timing. But I could be wrong. It could be huge. It could be the new temporary king of the OGL OSR D20 Retro Clone pile, and then just slowly get lost in the 700 plus mega dungeon of OSR OGL D20 Retro Clones that already exists. And we'll be, talking about something else a year from now. I promise I will never write an OGL OSR D20 Retro Clone fantasy heartbreaker because I don't think there's a market. But I was wrong about Shadow Dark, so maybe I'm wrong about Dragonslayer. You tell me what you're thinking. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. Hopefully, Dr. Greg Gillespie, if you're listening to this, you're not offended. But I gotta call it the way I see it. And yeah. Agree with me? Disagree with me? Do you even care at this point that somebody's making yet another OGL OSR D20 Retro Clone? Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. See ya. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe to my webpage, Dr. Greg Gillespie, and I'll say nice things about you because I'm a shill and I'll sell out.